Hello my bookworms, welcome or welcome back to my channel. My name is Sydney and today's video will be a book haul. So hey, what's up? How are ya? I hope you're doing well. Thank you so much for being here and hanging out with me for a little bit. It's been a couple months since we've done a book haul and I have quite a big one to show you. At least 30. There's at least 30 books in this this little big haul that we have here. So let's just jump right into it because we might be here a while if we don't. The first one that I want to talk about is one that I'm actually super stoked about. Recently I met my best friend for some coffee down at the little cafe that is walkable from my house, and we met up and we read our respective poetry books and we exchanged passages when we found one that we really liked, and it was a great time. It was fabulous. I bought the book that she was reading because it was absolutely beautiful, phenomenal, and I can't wait to read it for myself from cover to cover. And the book itself is Film for Her, which is by Orion Carlotto, and this is just the most stunning poetry collection I've ever had. It's like a canvas cover. You hear that? That's canvas. And this green, I'm literally so here for it. Inside, it's all like pictures shot on her film camera with corresponding poetry entries on like either side. And it is phenomenal, stunning. The couple entries that I read when we were sitting at the cafe like made me feel some type of way. I literally took a picture of one of the entries because I saw myself so vividly in that poem that like I couldn't actually believe it. So long story short, I bought it and I'm super excited about it. And yeah, the next two that I got were gifted to me from one of my patrons, Loukia. The first one is Dalya Green. Doing well already. The first one is Dalya Green Doesn't Care by Ashley Herring Blake. I feel like I'm gonna love it. It's a sapphic rom-com, and these two characters on the front are giving me life. I love seeing a main character with like arm tattoos and just, you know, rocking it. And a quick little blurb of it is a clever and steamy queer romantic comedy about taking chances and accepting love. All I needed was this cover and that little blurb and I'm pretty much sold. I'm excited to read this and see what's up about it. The other book that Loukia got me is How High We Go in the Dark by Sequoia Nagamatsu. I really love this cover. I think it's absolutely stunning. It says that it is a spellbinding debut that follows a cast of intricately linked characters over hundreds of years as humanity struggles to rebuild itself in the aftermath of a climate plague. And then Lukia's little note for me on the gift message says, it's sci-fi-ish with slight weirdness and a whole lot of heart. Now one of my faves of all time and I really think you would love it. The little note from you, Loukia, is what is making me so excited about it because I really love your little description. I think it sounds exactly up my alley. So I'm tempted to say that you are right, that I think I might like this as well. So thank you so much for these. I appreciate it. The next one I got was from another patron of mine and her name is Rylee. So thank you, Rylee, so much. It is Bitter by Akwaeke Emezi. We all know that Akwaeke Emezi is one of my favorite authors of all time. And this is the companion novel to Pet. Bitter is the name of the mother that is in the story Pet. And I really loved Bitter's character in Pet. So I'm so excited to get a full story about her. And again, this cover is just absolutely stunning. Thank you so much. The next book that I got was a gift from Daphne, so thank you so much. This one is The Shadow of What Was Lost by James Eilington. I saw this when I was perusing through Barnes & Noble and decided to put it on my wish list. I just love how chunky it is. I love how good of a paperback it is. Wow, it spans the whole like freaking screen. You see that? Stunning, iconic. And the paperback itself has like a really nice feel. Not that that was only why I wanted it. Never. Not a cover by. It says, as destiny calls, a journey begins. It has been 20 years since the godlike augurs were overthrown and killed. Those who once served them, the gifted, were spared only after accepting the rebellion's 4 tenets, which vastly limited their powers. Davian discovers that he wields the forbidden power of the augurs, and this sets into motion a chain of events that will change everything. To the west, a young man whose fate intertwined with Davian's wakes up in a forest, covered in blood and with no memory of who he is. And in the far north, north, an ancient enemy begins to stir. I think it sounds really cool. It says for fans of Robert Jordan and Brandon Sanderson, and I haven't read Robert Jordan, but I have read Brandy Sandy and I really enjoy his work. So I thought that that sounded vaguely super interesting, you know? Very exciting. I just love it. It's so good. Thank you. This next one was gifted to me by Jacqueline, who is the creator of the Backlist Readathon that I was a co-host for this year. She sent me a book as a thank you, thank you. It is The Push by Ashley Audrayan, perhaps. The cover's like metallic and I'm here for it. Look at it. And in this one, we have our main character who is a mother and she has her daughter and never feels that like connection with her and thinks that there's something very wrong with her. And eventually she gives birth to her son, who she has that instant connection with that she's always imagined that she would with her children. But then something happens and their whole life is like changed in an instant, and the devastating fallout forces Blythe, the main character, the mother, to face the truth. It's an utterly immersive novel that will challenge everything you think you know about motherhood, what we owe our children, and what it feels like when women are not believed. Ooh, that actually just like got me. That got me good. Yeah, Jacqueline said that this was really good but hard to read at times. Totally here for it. Very excited. I love that it's like kind of short, so thank you so much, Jacqueline. The next one I got was a gift from myself. I went to one of my local indie bookstores and I got myself 3 books. This first one is Darius the Great is Not Okay. I have always loved this cover a lot. The spine is absolutely adorable. It's like the same thing but smaller. And I don't know much about it. I know that Mel read it in one of her vlogs and I believe that she really liked it. So that is what put it on my radar. I just read the synopsis in its entirety and it's so freaking cute. Wait. So basically our main character is Darius and he's moving to Iran and he has never really felt like he's fit in because he's half Persian from his mom's side and his clinical depression doesn't exactly help matters either, and trying to explain his medication to his grandparents only makes things harder. Then Darius meets Sohrab, the boy next door, and everything changes. Soon they're spending days together playing soccer, eating faluda, and talking for hours on a secret rooftop overlooking the city's skyline. Sohrab calls him Dairush, the original Farsi version of his name, and Darius has never felt more like himself. By turns hilarious and heartbreaking, this brilliant debut is for anyone who's ever felt not good enough, then met a friend who makes them feel so much better than okay. I literally didn't even read the synopsis before I bought it. I saw it and I had never seen it out like in the wild, so I just decided to pick it up and I'm so freaking glad I did. Wow, I love that. That sounds great. Good job, Sydney. The next 2 that I got were poetry collections. The first one is downstairs. I don't feel like grabbing it, but it is called Goldenrod by Maggie Smith. It's a poetry collection and I actually read it already that's the book that I read when I went to the cafe to read poetry with my friend. And it was okay. It was good. It talks a lot about like motherhood in a sense of like taking random objects that she finds, like pebbles in her son's pockets when she's doing the laundry. She wrote a lot of poetry about like current political climate at the time when the book was published, as well as like other just random inanimate objects and locations that meant a lot to her. So it was good. I had a good time reading it. It wasn't like my favorite collection of all times, but it was still good and I was glad that I picked it up. The other one that I picked up is Tin House, which is a collection of poetry and short stories, and this is the final issue, it says. So apparently this was like the last collection that the company or the group of people put together. And what made me pick this up was, one, I mean, it's a good paperback, but also mostly is I leafed through some of the pages while I was standing in the bookstore, and the pages that I was reading, I really was enjoying. I was really liking the vibe, and it seems like there is a lot of stuff that this collection offers. I have to look into it more to know exactly what it is that I bought, but the poetry selection shelves that I was on were 20% off, so I was like, why the heck not? The next one that we're gonna talk about, did you see it? No. Is from one of my patrons, Emily. Thank you so much. It is The Empire of Gold by S.A. Chakraborty. I have the hardcover of this book, but I wanted the paperback because my first 2 books in the series are paperback and I would much rather have them all the same. So again, stunning paperback, absolutely. And it's just so good. I just love a big paperback. And this is a series that I think has potential to be like the end all be all favorite series for me. I just have to finish it. City of Brass is the first book in the series in the David Bad trilogy, and it is phenomenal. It's about our main character, Nari, who is a con woman that has unsurpassed skill, and during one of her cons, she gets in contact with a ancient Jinn warrior named Dara, and ultimately they have to like traverse the magical deserts to the City of Brass to like be safe and things like that. And there is so much political intrigue going on within the story, and in City of Brass we are just scratching the surface of the magic system, and I just know that it's gonna get absolutely insanely good. Not that it already wasn't. I'm pretty sure City of Brass was like one of my top books of all time in last year. If it wasn't the top, I don't remember anymore. It was really freaking good, okay? This is book 3. Thank you. The next book or set of books that I got is the box set of March by John Lewis. It is the graphic novel account of what was going on within the civil rights movement, and Congressman John Lewis is telling us his like first-hand account of what was going on, and it's in graphic novel form. I've heard really, really good things about this graphic novel collection, and I love a good box set, so I definitely just snatched it up, and I'm very excited to get to this as soon as possible. Me trying to put this back in the slip box, it is very difficult, okay? Oh, there we go. The next book that I got is Untamed by Glennon Doyle. A couple of these books, this one included, was recommended to me by Noelle over at Noelle 7 Pages. I went to her for some nonfiction recommendations because she is phenomenal in that department, and this one was at the top of her list. I've seen it sitting around at so many bookstores, and I just, for whatever reason, didn't pick it up. But once I heard that it was like one of Noelle's favorite books, I snatched it really quick. It says that Untamed is both an intimate memoir and a galvanizing wake-up call. It is the story of how one woman learned that a responsible mother is not one who slowly dies for her children, but one who shows them how to fully live. It is the story of navigating divorce, forming a new blended family, and discovering that the brokenness or wholeness of a family depends not on its structure, but on each other's ability to bring herself to the table. And it's a story about how each of us can begin to trust ourselves enough to set boundaries, make peace with our bodies, honor our anger and heartbreak, and unleash our truest, wildest instincts so that we become women who can finally look at ourselves and say, there she is. I'm gonna cry. Another one where I bought it and didn't read the full back, so that's the first time I've read the full back. Okay, sounds phenomenal. I'm glad I bought it. The next one was another recommendation from Noelle, and it is Cultish by Amanda Montell. This was The Language of Fanaticism. I have already read this one, and I'm trying to get Caleb to read it as well so that we can do a review together because it's really cool. It is discussing the language surrounding cults and cultish groups of people. It compares cultish groups as far back as Jonestown and compares Jonestown to present-day cultish groups like SoulCycle or CrossFit. And it is just super interesting to hear the similarities within these cultish groups and the language surrounding them. And this is one of my favorite covers of all time. The next one that I got in a book subscription box is The Atlas 6 by Olivia Blake. And this edition is just absolutely stunning. I love how like it's such a creamy white next to a very stark black sprayed edge. Here for this moment. Yes. It says, knowledge is carnage, and 6 are chosen, only 5 will walk away. When the world's best magicians are offered an extraordinary opportunity, saying yes is easy. Each could join the secretive Alexandrian society, whose custodians guard lost knowledge from ancient civilizations. Their members enjoy a lifetime of power and prestige, yet each decade only 6 practitioners are invited to fill 5 places. It goes through our 6 main characters, and it says, following recruitment by the mysterious Atlas Blakely, they travel to the Society's London headquarters. Here, each must study and innovate within esoteric subject areas, and if they can prove themselves over the course of a year, they'll survive. Most of them. So obviously it's going to get pretty messy and cutthroat considering that someone's gonna die, and it has magic in it, and there's a sword on the cover in the spine, and I mean, I don't know what else I could want. The next one I got is Cleopatra and Frankenstein by Coco Malors. This one I'm super excited about. It follows our main character Cleo, who is a British painter her, but finds her way to New York and in the arms of Frank, who is a older, wealthy man who offers basically his hand in marriage and for Cleo to be able to live a life where she doesn't have to work or worry about any money at all. And she says yes. So they get married, but they quickly realize that their marriage has irreversibly changed their life as well as the lives of the people around them in ways that they could have never predicted. It says, whether it's Cleo's best friend struggling to embrace his gender queerness in the wake of Cleo's marriage, or Frank's financially dependent sister arranging sugar daddy dates to support herself after being cut off, or Cleo and Frank themselves as they discover the trials of marriage and mental illness, each character is as absorbing and painfully relatable as the last. And I have heard really, really good things about the story. It sounds like it's going to be a hoot, but also touch on some serious topics, which I love the variety, so I'm very excited about it. I also love this cover as well. The next one I got because someone said that they think that I would really like it, and I have always loved the title of the story as well as the cover. I think that it is just really cool. It is My Year of Rest and Relaxation by Otessa Moshfegh. I love the title like too much. My Year of Rest and Relaxation. And it says, the shocking and strangely tender story of a young woman's efforts to duck the ills of the world with the help of one of the worst psychiatrists in the annals of literature. Our narrator should be happy, shouldn't she? She's young, thin, pretty, a recent Columbia graduate, works an easy job at a hip art gallery, lives in an apartment in the Upper East Side of Manhattan paid for, like the rest of her needs, by her inheritance. But there is a hole in her heart, and it isn't just the loss of her parents or the way her Wall Street boyfriend treats her or her sadomasochistic relationship with her best friend Riva. It's the year 2000 in a city aglitter with wealth and possibility. What could be so terribly wrong? I love this. So the very first sentence, our narrator should be happy, shouldn't she? I love that, but I hate that idea so much because it's like, obviously I can tell that mental illness will be brought into play in this story, and it's such a real thing that the idea of like, I have nothing to be sad about, so why am I sad, is such a real problem with so many people. So like, I'm assuming that that's going to be brought up, and we're going to talk a lot about it within this story, unless that's totally wrong, which I could be totally wrong. Those are just the vibes I'm getting. But regardless, I'm really loving what this is giving, and I'm excited to read it. Another nonfiction recommended by Noelle is Crow Planet, The Essential Wisdom from the Urban Wilderness. I love this cover as well. I thought it was super cute. It says, there are more crows now than ever. Their abundance is both a sign of ecological imbalance and a generous opportunity to connect with the more than human world. In the Crow Planet, Hop's grateful prose illuminates a world where crows gather to care for their sick, play in the snow, drop nuts in the road to be cracked open by passing cars, and even attend crow funerals. Her book is a journey of discovery in which crows become our guides, leading us off the pavement and into the realms of myth, history, and science, opening our eyes to the deeply relevant question of our own place in the urban wild landscape. The book has a lot of like graphics or illustrations, I guess I should say, at the start of every like part of the book, you know what I'm saying? And just the title, Essential Wisdom for the Urban Wilderness. I mean, I really, really love that because obviously I live in a city where we have urban wilderness. Really, it's just squirrels, but probably crows as well. And I really like this idea of going in depth on like the urban wilderness and seeing what quirky, fun things that this author has to say about it. Another one is Brazen, Rebel Ladies Who Rocked the World. And this is a graphic novel talking about rebel ladies who rocked the world. And it is absolutely stunning. I really love this, and I'm so excited to get into this more. I know that it'll be a pretty quick read, and it just goes through all of these different women and like what went on with them, their importance, like Josephine Baker, Lozen, and a lot of these are people that I have never heard of, which is precisely why I want to read it so much, so that I can broaden my knowledge, you know, and just learn more about the incredible women in the world. The next one I got is On Earth We're Briefly Gorgeous by Ocean Vuong, and I've heard really good things about this one. It says, On Earth We're Briefly Gorgeous is a letter from a son to a mother who cannot read. Written when the speaker, Little Dog, is in his late 20s, the letter unearths a family's history that began before he was born, a history whose epicenter is rooted in Vietnam. At once a witness to the fraught yet undeniable love between a single mother and her son, it is also a brutally honest exploration of race, class, masculinity, and our current American moment. Immersed as we are in addiction, violence, and trauma, but undergirded by compassion and tenderness. The question of how to survive and how to make of it a kind of joy powers the most important debut novel for many years. Love. So obviously this one will be a little bit more hard-hitting, a little bit more serious. I've heard that it makes people cry quite often. I'm here for that. Love that emotion. And I'm ready to be destroyed. I'm ready to feel all of the things. I love it. The next one I got purely because of the cover, and it is Outlawed by Anna North. Featuring an irresistibly no-nonsense, courageous heroine, Outlawed dusts off the myth of the Old West and reignites the glimmering promise of the frontier with an entirely new set of feminist stakes. Anna North has crafted a pulse-racing, page-turning saga about the search for hope in the wake of death and for truth in a climate of small-mindedness and fear. I'm pretty sure I've heard mixed reviews on this one, and I typically, if you've heard me in the past, I'm not normally a fan of like Western stories, but the cover is just literally too good to not try it out. That's just how I'm looking at it. So yeehaw. The next one I got because someone mentioned that they think that I would like it, and it was sitting there at the bookstore, so I bought it, and it is The Library at Mount Char by Scott Hawkins. I really do enjoy this cover. I think it's really, really cool. There's like a house in here if you can't see it, and it says Carolyn knows she's a little bit odd, but she figures that's only natural when she spent her life locked away in an infinite library, forced to study at the feet of the man who might be God. She's seen her share of terrible things in those years and died a few times herself. What? Steve tries hard to be an ordinary guy, and he's been doing a pretty good job at it until Carolyn shows up in his life with a tempting offer, a pair of red rubber galoshes and exactly $327,000. Soon, he finds himself swept up in a war waged on a scale he can barely comprehend as powerful forces battle for control of the library and the future of the universe itself. What? I think that this sounds pretty wild, pretty out there, and that's totally up my alley. So I think on the surface, I can see why someone would say that they think I would like this, and I would be inclined to agree. So it would be cool to see if we were both correct. The next one I got, I'm really excited for. I really love it. Let's just tell you what it is. It is A Cosmology of Monsters by Sean Hamill, and it was in the horror section at Barnes & Noble, and I absolutely just love this cover with my whole entire being. I got this as well as a few of these at Barnes & Noble when I met Jan, and I had mentioned that for whatever reason, out of all of the like mythological creatures, I have always felt such a strong affinity towards werewolves, and so when I saw a werewolf paw on this cover, I kind of just had to buy it. That was my whole reasoning for the most part. And I also loved on the spine how there's the O's are the little like glary eyes. I just felt like this whole vibe was hitting all of the marks for me. It says, Noah Turner sees monsters. His father saw them and built a shrine to them with the Wandering Dark, an immersive horror experience that the whole family operates. His practical mother has caught glimpses of terrors but refuses to believe, too focused on keeping the family from falling apart. His brilliant older sister, Eunice, can't exorcise them from her mind, no matter how many versions of the story she commits to paper. And his eldest sister, the dramatic and vulnerable Sydney, won't admit to seeing anything but the beckoning glow of the spotlight until it swallows her up. Noah Turner sees monsters, but unlike his family, Noah lets them in. I just love it. I just love it a lot, so I'm very excited about it. The next one I also love a lot. The cover got me, and it is Disorientation by Elaine Hizet-Chu. There was fur and hair all over it. This is my life. What made me buy it was the little blurb that I read on the back when I was in the store, so that's all I'm gonna read for you. It says, Disorientation is a multivalent pleasure, a deeply original debut that reinvents the campus novel satire as an Asian American literary studies whodunit, in which the murder victim might be your idea of yourself, no matter how you identify. And I'm super, super, super obsessed with this cover. I think that it is super weird, super quirky, and really, really beautiful. The font choices, the colors, it is just iconic. God, filming book hauls sucks sometimes. It makes me want to just throw everything on my TBR out the window and just pick up these new ones. The next one that I will mention is Seasonal Fears by Seanan McGuire. This is the companion novel to Middle Game by Seanan McGuire, and I'm very excited about it. I bought it before its release date, which I didn't know. It was just sitting there on the shelf at Barnes & Noble, and I was like, oh my god, I didn't know this was out yet. So I like obviously bought it, but I don't think that it was out yet. It's out now. It came out on May 3rd, but I definitely got this before May 3rd. Our main characters are Melanie and Harry. Melanie has a destiny, though it isn't the one everyone assumes it to be. She is delicate, she's fragile, she's dying. Now truly is the winter of her soul. Harry doesn't want to believe in destiny because that means that accepting the loss of the one person who gives his life meaning, who brings summer to his world. So when a new road is laid out in front of them, a road that will lead through untold dangers toward a possible lifetime together, walking down it seems to be the only option, but others are following behind with violence in their hearts. It looks like destiny has a plan for them after all. I don't know how it's going to relate to middle game at all. I'm guessing that the road that opens up is like the path to the impossible city or whatever. But other than that, I mean, I don't know what to expect. I haven't seen many reviews come out for it yet, so I am going into it with medium expectations because I don't want to, you know, put too much pressure on it. But yeah, very excited. I loved middle game, so... The next one we got, which is the last recommendation from Noelle, is Wild by Cheryl Strayed. I know that Caleb has read this one and he really enjoyed it. Noelle said that she read it with low expectations, didn't really know what she was getting into, I believe, and she ended up absolutely loving it. From what I know about it, it seems like something that I would really enjoy. At 22, Cheryl thought that she had lost everything. In the wake of her mother's death, her family scattered and her own marriage was soon destroyed. 4 years later, with nothing more to lose, she made the most impulsive decision of her life. With no experience or training, driven only by blind will, she would hike more than 1,000 miles on the Pacific Crest Trail from the Mojave Desert through California and Oregon to Washington State, and she would do it alone. Like, that trail, the PCT, is literally no joke. It is absolutely crazy, rugged, and the idea that someone hiked it with no experience or knowledge of what she was getting herself into, obviously she was not in a great state of mind and had a lot of growth throughout her journey. So that is something that I think I would really enjoy. So yeah, here we are. The next one I got is the Owl Crate edition of Gallant by V.E. Schwab. My patron Heather sent it to me and we swapped books. But this is just stunning. It's a great black sprayed edge moment. We have the signed nameplate as well as a wooden bookmark that says, "I can shape death, but you can give it life." Very deep, very cute. And it says, "The shadows are not real. The dreams can never hurt you. You will stay safe as long as you stay away from Gallant." If there's an angle change, it's because my camera died. But we have Gallant still here. But this is a YA novel from V.E. Schwab, and I love the squareness of it. I think it's absolutely adorable. I keep dropping everything that is in this book, probably 7 times now. And I love V.E. Schwab's writing, so I am excited to try this one out. The next one I got is the adult book only subscription for Fairy Loot. I always get them mixed up. It's for Fairy Loot though, and it is The City of Dusk by Tara Sim. I absolutely love this as well. Pure sprayed black, and it is a chunker, and the mood of the picture within this circle is absolutely beautiful, and if that's the vibe of the book, I think that I'm here for it for sure. The 4 realms, life, death, light, and darkness, all converge on the City of Dusk, ruled by the 4 noble houses of Nexus. The City of Dusk is the first in a sweeping epic fantasy trilogy set in the gorgeous world of dark magic, vengeful gods, and rebellious chosen ones. This font is super tiny. Wow, this is gonna be a long book for sure. But it sounds really cool. Sounds like it would be something that I would enjoy. I mean, hey, there's spines, crowns, moons, daggers, and a skull on the cover. So sounds up my alley. The next one I got is a recommendation from Caleb actually, and it's called 4,000 Weeks, Time Management for Mortals by Oliver Burkham. This is obviously a self-help book of sorts. Me being the person that I am a 2 Enneagram Wing 3. If you don't know the Enneagram, then you should, because it's phenomenal and I really am a big fan. But my 2 Wing 3, they're very close together. Like, I am pretty much identically both of them. And I am very much driven on my success, things that I can accomplish. I base my worth on my accomplishments, basically. But I also strive to be loved and want to help people. Like, that is me in a nutshell, at its very minimal minimal explanation. And this book talks about how you don't have enough time to do everything that you will want to do. And it's talking about like how to manage that and how to come to terms with that. I think Caleb said he thinks that I would really benefit from it, and he's right. He's probably right. This book scares me though, because I still think that I can do it all. I can do, like, don't tell me I can't do, I can do it all, okay? Don't worry about it. I know that that's not right, but that is just how I feel, and I don't want to be told otherwise, that I have to pick and choose what I want to do. But I do know that I could probably benefit from this, so we bought it, and I will try to read it. The other one that Caleb recommended to me is Waking Up by Sam Harris. It is a guide to spirituality without religion. I'm pretty sure that Sam Harris is a neuroscientist or something like that, which is very attractive to me because I, at my heart, a neuro ICU nurse, so anything that brings self-help into like physiological neuro, like brain type things, I'm much more inclined to believe and want to hear about, because there's like some factual evidence, you know, of like what could be going on and how to fix yourself or something. I don't know. But it says, throughout this book, Harris explores the scientific underpinnings of spirituality and argues that there is more to understanding reality than secular culture and science generally allow. And he marries contemplative wisdom and modern science in this way. Wow, on the screen I just realized that this is a face, isn't it? That's creepy. Didn't see that before, whoa. But yeah, Caleb has read this one as well, and he believes that I would really enjoy it, so I bought it, and now I have it. The next one that I got is They Can't Kill Us Until They Kill Us, which is a group of essays. And in these essays, the author Hanif is bringing in like music and music artists and delving deep into their lives and their lyrics, but at its basis talking about like themes of race, friendship, and our shared quests for meaning. The Rolling Stone says this Ohio poet critic digs deep into what it means to be an American in our moment and how much music has to do with it. I really loved how this book was laid out, but the thing that like really sold it for me was that the very first passage is about Chance the Rapper, and I love Chance the Rapper with my whole self, so I was thinking about buying it, and then I saw that Chance was first and I was like, okay, I'll buy it. The next one I bought is Black Girls Must Die Exhausted by Jane Allen, and the blurb at the top says, a young black woman must rely on courage, laughter, and love, and the support of her two longtime friends to overcome an unexpected setback that threatens the most precious thing she's ever wanted. Our main character is Tabitha Walker, a black woman with a plan to have it all, with a coveted position as a local news reporter, a paper-perfect boyfriend, and even a standing Saturday morning appointment with the reliable hairstylist. Everything seems to be falling into place. And then Tabby receives an unexpected diagnosis that brings her picture-perfect life crashing down, jeopardizing the dream she took for granted, having children. Suddenly she is faced with the impossible choice between her career, her dream home, and a family of her own. I've heard some really, really good things about this book, and the synopsis sounds like something that is totally right up my alley, something I would definitely really enjoy, so I have tentatively high hopes for it, and I am excited to have it on my physical TBR. The next one I got is Women Running in the Mountains by Yuko Shushima, and this is translated from Japanese to English. In this one, our main character is Takiko, and she is pregnant with her son, who is the result of a brief affair with a married man, and she decides to keep the baby, much to the grief and shame of her parents, but she is over the moon happy about having this child because she believes that he will be hers and hers alone, a challenge that she also hopes will free her. Takiko's first year as a mother is filled with the intense bodily pleasures and pain that come from caring for a newborn, but as the baby grows, her life becomes less circumscribed as she explores Tokyo, then ventures beyond the city into the countryside toward a mountain that captures her imagination and desire for a wilder freedom. I think that it just sounds absolutely beautiful. For whatever reason, I don't know why, I don't know how to explain myself, but I am just very interested in like books that explore motherhood. I don't know who I am right now. But the idea of our mother in the story also capturing her imagination and desire for a wilder freedom, like that is just super, super cool to me. It sounds great, and I'm very excited to pick it up. The last one that we are going to talk about is another self-help book, and it is How to Stop Feeling Like Shit by Andrea Owen. The little like not sticker thing says 14 habits that are holding you back from happiness, and this is a no punches pulled advice to women who want to stop undermining their own happiness once and for all. She crystallizes what's behind the 14 silent habits that hold women back from experiencing life to its fullest. She kicks women's gears out out of autopilot and empowers them to create happier, more fulfilling lives. I started listening to this on audio and then realized that it is, while you're reading it, giving you some like activities to do, you know, to like sit down and write out things that like will help you stop feeling like shit. And I put that audiobook aside because I wasn't like in a place physically where I could sit down and write things out, because the questions that it was asking were actually things that I think would really help me and kind of like sift through things that are going on up here and in here. So even though I haven't finished it yet, I do actually think that this might have some substance to it. So take with it what you will. I know not everyone likes self-help books, and neither do I. Neither do I. I'm kind of with you if that's what you're thinking. But I'm trying, man. Trying to stop feeling like shit. So here we are. It seems like it might be a good one, but that's it. That's it. Now I have to try to hold all of these and take a thumbnail, so wish me luck. But in the meantime, thank you so much for being here and hanging out with me for a little bit. If you are still here, leave the wolf emoji down below in the comments, and while you're down there, don't forget to subscribe and like the video. I always appreciate your support. And of course, be kind to one another and happy reading. Bye.